welcome back to an episode of High in Fibre. I know it's been a minute, but we're back. We're gonna try and do this for the summer, and since my schedule is a little bit more open, I have a little bit more time in the mornings, so my hope is to bring you some fibery goodness over the summer and maybe show you a little bit of what else I've been doing. Just a little catch up. I know since it's been a bit, I have moved since you have last seen me on here, and liking our new place. It's not that new, we've been here almost 2 years already, but new place is great. I have my room that I'm in right now is my craft room / office. Unfortunately, our dye studio didn't work in our new space, so that is set up currently in our friend's detached garage, which provides some challenges, but it's working. It's just not as convenient as when it was in my own basement, because now I have to actually drive somewhere, do my work, all of that. I know I've had a couple questions about, well, you don't have anything on your website, and quite honestly, it's because we don't have a lot of stock right now. And we just needed to streamline things. Life has been really hectic. Haven't had as much time to focus on the K-zip knits end of life because the rest of life has been lifing. Chris has changed jobs a couple times. I haven't changed jobs, but my iteration of what I've been doing in terms of my music has changed quite a bit. I now have a studio that was custom built for myself and a colleague in the area of West Kelowna, and it's a beautiful, beautiful space. I'll throw in a picture. I have more pianos than I know what to do with. If I ever have to move out of that space, I will probably be just giving away pianos because I currently own 5 pianos. 4 of which are acoustic and 1 of which is a keyboard. So that's been a really exciting transition for me to go from teaching in this like little tiny kind of closet, almost glorified closet, to having, you know, a 400 square foot space to call my own. I can teach group classes, which has been great. And it's a place I feel really happy to be every time that I go there. I'm like, I splurged. I got myself a water cooler, and I have what has been dubbed the drawer of shame, which is literally a drawer full of snacks and junk food and all of that. If any of my students watch this, it's off limits. Sorry. It's for me. But yeah, it's been great having a new space. We got in there in September. It was a quick build. They built it in like 6 weeks for us. And yeah, we've been able to we have a kids choir that we're running in there. I've started a fiddle group, so we've got, 6 to 8 people that are meeting somewhat regularly to fiddle away, and so that's been great. Trying to think of what else is new since I've been on here. If you haven't followed along on Instagram at all, because if you're like me, you're trying to avoid social media more and more these days. But Chris and I took up sword fighting, specifically German longsword. I'll throw in a picture of us sparring here. But we've been doing it almost 2.5 years now, and it's so fun. It's a huge workout. It challenges me. It gets me moving. It's all those good things. So can't complain about that. Also, we made some new friends and built stronger bonds with some of our existing friends as a result of doing that. So that's been great. For those of you who are into the fiber world of kind of more historical stuff, kind of adjacent to the group that we started sword fighting with, there's something known as the SEA, or Society for Creative Anachronism, and it encompasses all like medieval and Renaissance and early world arts, from martial arts to heavy fighting to specifically European, and all things fiber, arts and sciences. And so that's been a really kind of fun. I've gotten to nerd off with some of my spinning and fiber dyeing and any of that kind of stuff when I'm not busy whacking people with my sword. But yeah, so we've been doing that and just just existing, and not, that sounds dark, just existing. Existing, but in a good way. We've been having a lot of fun, and it's been busy, it's been hectic, it's been a lot of change in a very short space of time with moving again, and then new studio and jobs and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, one thing that never ceases to quit in all of this is crafting. So with that in mind, shall we dive into some finished objects? Okay, because finished objects could be all kinds of things, and since I'm a jack of all trades, no, I'm not a jack of all trades, but I am going to start with something that I actually made for sword fighting. It's actually not for sword fighting, it's for hauling my swords around, because sometimes when you're like lugging your giant bag with all of your armor and your gambeson and all of the stuff that you need, your helmet, gloves, all of that, where do you put your swords or your arms or fulls? So I, along with a couple of friends, we had a crafting day, and some of you might know that I enjoy dabbling in leatherwork. So I made something called a sword frog. You may have noticed in my sword fighting photo that I posted earlier, or if I didn't, I'll post one that has my gambeson in it. But purple is apparently the theme that I've gone with, kind of unintentionally. But so I made this. So it's called a sword frog. I'll also put a picture of me wearing it with my swords in it. But so I cut out all the leather pieces and smoothed out the sides. I don't know if you can tell if my camera will focus. This is the fun part about me getting back into podcasting, is like, ooh, does the autofocus work? Not necessarily, apparently. But yeah, so there's this. So the swords just kind of slot in here, and then this kind of sits like here, but on my back, a little bit lower. And then it has like a chest thing, so I can just kind of put it on like this. Nope, I'm doing it wrong. I should only have to go through one arm. See, I'm so accomplished with wearing this so far. But it kind of goes on that way. And then there's another buckle that kind of comes around the front. And then you do it up, if I can see what I'm doing. Who said podcasting was glamorous, right? So yeah, it kind of sits up like this, and then hopefully things lay flat. It's a little easier when you have a sword in it, but yeah, kind of like that. And then this buckles up here, and then my swords are supported on my back. So it frees up my hands to carry my giant kit of stuff, which is kind of nice. So yeah, so made that, was quite happy with it. The one thing I would say, if you are into leather at all and doing leather work, is so I added this thicker, heavier piece of leather that has a little bit more structure to the back of it. I used the leather that the pattern guy suggested, and it's too flimsy. I think it's more geared towards if you're using a LARPing sword or something that's not like fully weighted, something that's maybe foam based. Whereas my sword probably weighs like 4 or 5 pounds at least. And then if you put 2 of them in, that's double the weight. So I think I would totally do this again, but I would use a much stiffer leather, so I didn't have to reinforce it with so many like rivets and things just to stabilize it, because originally it was kind of pulling away. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. The prototype turned out good. I like the color a lot, so I definitely consider like maybe dyeing even my own leather if I can't find a color that I like. But yeah, so that's my first finished object. And I'm gonna see if I can work on my autofocus for the knitting, because that's what we all care about now, right? Is the knitting? That's probably what most of you care about. Leather. All right, so autofocus is gonna take me a hot second, I think, to figure out, so bear with me. This is me getting back into things. All right, knitting time. So I'm going to start with a smaller knit, which, customary to me, I have not woven in the ends yet, but why would you do that when you can just wear the thing? Also, I didn't think this through with the clampy thing in my hair. Ugh. So this is, I made it a little too tight, but this is the Birds and Chips cowl. Funny story, I don't know if I can swear on YouTube. You can bleep this part if you have little ears around. Funny story is the first time I made this was as part of a group girl trip up to the Yukon, and I misheard it as Birds and Chips, and I was like, that is confusing. And then I heard it as Birds and Shits, And so it became kind of among our little fiber friend group, the nickname for this was the Birds and Shits Cowl. And so now it is forever the Birds and Shits Cowl. And this is like 4 years later now. Anyways, so it's the Birds and Ships, like the things that go on water, cowl, and it's by Caitlin Hunter. And it has this beautiful little lace panel down the front, which is really lovely. And this is the second one that I've made. The first one I made out of a BFL and a yak fluff kind of thing, all like double stranded together. So you kind of lost a little bit of the effect of the lace panel down the middle. But I really love this cowl a lot. I made this one out of some low mileage wool from Crux Fibre. It was actually from her very first mill run of that. I bought it, I'm trying to think if I think I got this up in in Dawson Creek. I want to say like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's the first time. I think it's got to be 5 years ago. It's a long time. Anyways, it's a lovely yarn. I love that the yarn comes from a flock in Alberta. It's milled in Canada. All of its treatment has been done in Canada. And it's just kind of special that you can know the name of the sheep that goes with it. And it's just like, because I'm good friends with Crux Fibre. Hi, Brittany. It's like a hug. It's like having a hug for Brittany. Also, it still smells like Brittany. I've even washed it and blocked it, but still, I know I must have used the same Eucalyptus or something that she uses when she washes her stuff, because it smells like Brittany. But anyways, that sounds weird. Love you, Brittany. No, whatever she washes her wool in, I'm always like, because it smells good and it just reminds me of her, because she's a great friend. And she gives the best hugs. I will say that also. So yeah, that's the Birds and Ships Cowl. If you're looking for an introductory to lace pattern, I would totally recommend this. This is a great pattern. It's simple because it's a little bit mindless, and then you have like those 11 stitches of focus. And they're not complicated. You're not like picking things up from rows below or above or anything like that. It's quite relaxing, I would say, as a first foray into knitting lace. So I'd highly recommend this pattern. And yeah, it's just great. And I think it would work great even, I would recommend, just if you are knitting it, the cast off. So you start at the top here, going back and forth, and then eventually join in the round once you've increased. I would recommend with the cast off that you make sure that it's either really loose, go for a stretchier one, or bind off with a needle that's a size bigger, just because the tendency is it kind of goes like this a little bit. We found that as a group when we did it. But yeah, it's a great little, let's see if my camera will, yeah, there you go. You can see some of the details a little bit better. It's a really sweet pattern. And it's a quick knit, it's a potato chippy knit. If you're a faster knitter, you could easily do this in a day or two. Maybe not a day, like we'll say 2 days, but like, cause we knit this in a weekend, like over 3 days or 2.5 days at a cabin. So, definitely a quick knit. You could size, I think there's a lot of flexibility with this pattern in terms of sizing up needles, playing around with your yarn, and your gauge and stuff with it as well. I think you have lots of options there. So you can have some, if you want like a looser kind of more cowl neck fit, I think you could definitely, knit it in like a DK to worsted instead of a fingering or sport. Yeah, but great pattern, really like it, fun knit, and highly recommend it. And like I said, if you're new to lace and you've always wanted to try it, this is a really effective one that's easy and beginner friendly. So definitely check out Birds and Ships by Caitlin Hunter, or Boyline Knitworks is also how she's known. All right. My other completed project that I'm going to show you today is this lovely, oops, I'm backwards. Not that it really matters because it's kind of the same on both sides. The only difference is the neckline a little bit. I don't know if you can see the texture. You can see all those lovely little chevron-y bumps. So this is called the Willa Slipover by Paula Leme. Is it Leme or Lemke? I'll put the name in the bottom. You think I'd remember this, but so this is like a vesty type thing that I knit specifically thinking I would wear it over top of like dresses, like sleeved dresses in the winter and stuff. I don't I'm not loving the fit on me specifically, but I like the idea of it. And to be fair, I've never really been like a vest wearer or a slipover wearer. I also tend to kind of go away from crew necks unless it's like a hoodie or like, yeah, like a proper hoodie or pullover. So I don't know. Because I didn't finish this early enough in the year to like actually try it with my like fall and winter dresses, I don't know how I feel about it yet. So you'll have to wait till the fall and I'll report back. I do love the yarn. The pattern is a fun knit, and it's one of those ones that once you've done, like once you get your chevron established, it's pretty easy to just do without having to look at the actual pattern, or each row to remind you what you're doing. I think the most annoying thing for me was the fact that because you obviously start going back and forth and you do both sides for a little while first before you join it in the round, you get used to like reading your pattern going back and forth, which is different than when you're doing it in the round. So it was like, oh, recalibrating. But yeah, I love the texture of it. I love the look of it. I just don't know if it's for me. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. The yarn is stunning though, and it is from West Coast Color. This is some Rambouillett. So she is a yarn dyer and fiber producer in the Shuswap area of BC Interior, up near, she's from a little town called Tappan, but it's kind of near Salmon Arm for anyone who's familiar with that part of BC. But yeah, cute pattern. If you guys have any ideas or thoughts about how I could modify it or maybe make it more wearable for me, I'm open to ideas. But oh, one other little detail that's kind of fun about it is it has like a low high hem. I don't know if you can see that very well. I didn't think about my lighting super great here today, did I? Well, things to improve on for next time. But yeah, so that's kind of fun. It's got a shorter hem in the front and a longer hem in the back that kind of hugs your bum, which is great. We like those. But yeah, love this color. This is definitely like my happy place in terms of color. And the yarn is so squishy itself. So yeah, that's that. So that's all I'm gonna show you for finished things, because let's be real, in the last 2.5 or however long it's been since I've been on here, I have finished quite a few things, especially socks. I've knit a lot of socks. I've also knit a few shirts, but why don't we dive into a couple of works in progress? And of course I run over to the washroom, and by the time I come back, the sun is not as nice outside anymore. So I apologize for the lighting switch up. I will have a better lighting situation. I'll figure it out. I just have to like reorganize my room, because then you don't want to see the disaster that is over there right now. And I need to do some tidying up in here anyways. All right, so on to works in progress. So a bit of a motto going into the beginning of this year was I'm going to finish the things that are sitting on needles that are, you know, in various states of completion. I did finish off a few pairs of socks early in the year, but one thing I found that I don't have a pattern with it at all was this. So it's obviously shirt. It has it had armholes and everything, but I had literally just separated for the armholes. So I had, or not separated, but like taken off the stitches here and then joined in the round. And I had maybe an inch past the underarms. So it's got like a boat neck type thing. It actually, this top part reminds me very much of a Je sais pas quand pattern that I knit that has like an all over body texture. So I'm wondering if maybe when I started it, because guys, I started this when I lived at the coast, which for those who are not from the Okanagan or BC, the coast is where I used to live near Vancouver in Surrey. So I started this like, I want to say either just pre-COVID. Yeah, I think it might have been pre-COVID that I started this. So this has been languishing in my yarn room, or, you know, and through several moves. And so when I was going through all my works in progress that were, you know, ancient and being like, what should I frog? What should I keep? This was one that I was like, oh, I love this yarn. and I love this color, and the fit was still good. So I was like, well, I'll just keep knitting the body and sleeves. To be completely honest, I usually make up as I go along as well, unless they have some sort of a texture type thing. Because I have buffer kind of upper arms, and then my arms get really skinny. They might not look like that necessarily, but I think from playing violin and from some of my other activities I do, I tend to have like bigger biceps, but then disproportionately small forearms. So I always have to adjust anyways. So I'm going to just do that. But so yeah, this is going to be a shirt or a sweater pullover. And the yarn is some old Baa Ram Ewe Dovestone. So the Dovestone was one that had, or is it Winterburn? I think this one might be Winterburn actually, because I think it has the Wensleydale in it. So this is like Wensleydale, Massam, and blue-faced Leicester for wool, but you can see it's so pretty. So pretty. It has like that heathering from the brown Massam, so you get like a little bit more interest even though it's a solid color. It's just got a lot more kind of body and life to it, which I love. And it's just, oh, this is like, it's a very similar blend. It's not quite exactly the same, but the Myra Canyon blend that I have, that I dye, is literally my desert island yarn, because it feels so nice. I love knitting with it. I'm never in a bad mood when I'm knitting with this yarn. Even if my project is going badly, the yarn just keeps me happy, and I'm just like, happy. So yeah, I just stabbed myself in the neck with a needle. I'm glad these ones are wooden needles. I will be careful. But yeah, so that's that one. So I've been working on that a little bit when I just need some like stockinette to like veg out to for watching a movie or something. And then because Okanagan summers are notoriously stupid hot, can I just say I'm so thankful I live in a house with air conditioning now. That has been an absolute game changer. I do not function well in heat at all. I wouldn't say heat stroke easily, but or like heat exhaustion, I guess is the term, not heat stroke. That involves hospitalization. I just don't function well in heat. I have no motivation to do anything. My body feels gross. I mentally feel gross. It's just not a good time. So with that, for summer knitting, I am always like, I've knit, tons of those ripple bralettes by Jessie May Designs and, things like that. But those are not really like, I don't know. For some people they are. For myself, I'm not exactly the most comfortable just wearing like one of my ripple bralettes out and about town when I'm doing stuff. But I would like to wear things that I have made if possible. So, this is the Cumulus Tee by PetiteKnit, and I have it on a 16-inch needle, so, so it's kind of jammed up a lot, but, I've separated now, taking the sleeve stitches off, and am now working in the round on the body. And this yarn is a cotton and linen blend. So this is the Queensland Brighton Beach. See if it'll work. That one. And it's a cotton and linen blend. It's quite lovely to knit with. I can't remember how much it was. I feel like this was like relatively affordable. It is they're bigger balls. They're 100 grams, but 300 meters. So I got 3 of them thinking that would hopefully be enough, which I think it will, because this is like the sleeves are essentially done. I'm just going to be picking up and then binding off, and same the neckline. I think the pattern has an I-cord bind off on it where you pick all the stitches up in I-cord. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet or if I'm going to just do like a really short ribbing and then bind off. Because I like to mess around with things. But I think, yeah, I still have a decent amount left of the second ball. And then I'll just kind of go with this until I have enough left to bind off with. But I'm hoping that this will be like a summer knit that I can wear. I don't particularly love knitting with cotton and linen, but I will say this is one of the nicer ones I've knit with. It's a little bit splitty in the beginning, I found, but then I kind of got used to it. But I think this will be really nice. I really like the kind of summery beachy vibes. I mean, if you guys have followed me from Wet Coast Wools days, and then even on High & Fibre, you'll know that like blues and teals are kind of my happy space in my color palette. But yeah, so I think this will be a good knit. PetiteKnit always does really great patterns for following. I always enjoy knitting her designs. I'm trying to think if there was anything that I did different with it. Oh, I did gauge a little bit differently. I decided I wanted, because I think the original pattern is for a fingering weight, and this is technically more of a sport. And I'm knitting, I liked the gauge of it better on a 4mm needle. So I did the math. Don't forget, you can do math. You can modify things. If that intimidates you, reach out to me. Within reason, of course. Resizing like a chunky weight pattern for fingering or sport is maybe not the greatest, but if you're only going up or down a couple needle sizes, or, you know, going to an adjacent yarn weight kind of thing, if you're confident with your gauge swatching abilities, it's actually quite easy to manipulate the math. I shouldn't say manipulate, but to do the math to then figure out what size adjustments you can make, because if the pattern has several size options, it's really easy to go, okay, I've got a slightly bigger gauge, so then I'm gonna knit a slightly smaller size, or I have a slightly smaller size, so I have to knit a bigger, or slightly smaller gauge rather, I need to knit a bigger size. It's, once you know how to do it, it's really quite easy, and I would say I probably do this with like 95% of the patterns. I always just knit my gauges and find what kind of a fabric I like with the yarn that I want to knit with, and then I adjust my pattern as needed. Once in a while there'll be a pattern that I gauge swatch and I'm like, well, I really like this fabric, but I just, for whatever reason, it's not meshing with the pattern that I wanted to do. But this is a case that I'm quite pleased with what I've got to do. There is, I will say with this yarn, there are definitely like a couple little, I've picked out a little bit of what feels like straw in a couple spots, but in general it's much nicer than like a pure linen to work with. It's a lot nicer on your hands, but it is more work to knit with just because it doesn't have a lot of elasticity or like flexibility like a wool blend does. So, but yeah, so it's the Cumulus Tee by PetiteKnit, and as I said, I'm knitting it with the Brighton Beach Premium Cotton and Linen Blend from Queensland collection. Hashtag sponsor me. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do brand deals. Or do I? I've never been offered, so I don't know. All right, and then my last work in progress is top secret. No, I'm kidding. It's not actually top secret. This is a pattern of mine that hasn't come out yet because I'm still just knitting some of the prototypes, and then hopefully end of June. I have to see. I've got a bit of a busy June because wedding season has started for me. But for sure sometime this summer I will have testing available for this. So these are some mittens, and we'll see if you can kind of start to see. Can't really see the design crazy good yet. That would be the front of the mitten, and then this will be the like palm side. It's called, my working title is called Dogwood. So these will be on like a DK to worsted weight yarn, and they're all over color work. There's a Latvian braid on the bottom. And so my inspiration for the palm is like not exactly trees, but kind of like branches. So I was kind of like inspired by like the structure of a tree. So it has this kind of a branch texture that goes on, or color work pattern that goes on the palm. And then on the top of your hand, there will be a flower, like a dogwood flower motif that I have done, along with like some cute framing and stuff. So this is very much like a Selbu-esque kind of style mitten. So there'll be like the triangular kind of point. So if you've made any of those kind of inspired mittens before, like a Nordic mitten or anything like that, this will be very much a similar kind of construction. Yeah. So, and I'm knitting this particular prototype or thing. You can see, this is the other thing. I can find like 5 sets of 4.5 millimeter needles and like 3 sets of 3.5 and 3.75 millimeter needles. Can I find my 4 millimeter needles? No, I found 3 plus a fixed 16-inch circular from like back when I used to use knit picks, which nothing wrong with knit picks. For some people they're great. I just find them hard to use because I like my pointy metal ones. I'm a bit of a tighter knitter, so for me they're a little bit infuriating, but I could only find 3 DPNs, so so we have this one that gets phased in and out. So this is a little bit of a funny approach to it, but it works, and I didn't have to buy more needles for now because I know I have them somewhere. There's literally, I think I figured when we moved I had like 30 different projects on needles, so I'm sure it's in one of those somewhere, just like stabbed into a ball. I haven't gone through those all yet. That's later Kelsey's problem. But yeah, so for yarn, I'm using I'm using my own yarn. Some Myra Canyon DK. I've already thrown one on the floor, I think. Oh, maybe not. Nope, there we go. So this is, see if it'll, will it focus? Yes. So this is BFL and Massam. So this is our Myra Canyon base, which we have, this is the DK one specifically. It does, because of how it's spun, it does knit really beautifully on like a worsted weight gauge. So if you have a pattern that's like worsted weight, you know, 20 stitches to 4 inches kind of thing, this one will totally work for you. I really like it. As I said, this is my desert island yarn. I could knit with this all day, every day, forever. Just, it's got so much interest to it. It's feels good to knit with. It's just, yeah, it's all the things I want in a yarn. And it just makes me happy. So there's not really anything else I can say about that, but just great yarn. Not to try to sell you on my yarn, but like Baa Ram Ewe has a very similar yarn base that has a little bit of Wensleydale in it, and that's very comparable to this one. It's a really lovely one to knit with. I love this yarn so much. So if you're not on my testing list and you like knitting mittens or whatnot, feel free to sign up on my website, kzipknits.com. You'll see there is like a test knitter page, and you can sign up there. And then when I do a testing call, I'll probably want 4 to 6 testers for these. So like I said, that'll be coming later on this summer, so that I can hopefully release them in the fall sometime, like September, early October kind of thing. So that way people need mittens for the winter, they can have them. So yeah, so that's that. So that's what I've been working on mainly the last little while. I have a feeling that my red pullover might go back into the bin for a little bit, just because I want to finish my summer top, hopefully. Fingers crossed I can get that done. And then my mittens and stuff. Plus I have leather crafting I want to do, and spinning, and Tour de Fleece is on right now. So I definitely want to try and do some spinning for that. And what else? I'm trying to think of what else. What else is going on? I mean, it's going to be summertime soon. I have a couple weeks left, I guess 3 weeks left of my regular teaching schedule. Wedding season for me has kicked off, which if you don't know, as a musician, if you do weddings, there can be a lot of them. So I am, how many am I booked for? Like lots, like almost every single weekend with the exception of the month of August, I have 1 or more weddings between now and the beginning of October. So yeah, and some days I do more than one. So it's going to be a busy summer, but in that regard, but I won't be teaching as much. So during the week, I'll have more time to film. Yay, work on pattern designs, hopefully, and I have some other projects that I'm working on for my music studio and stuff like that as well. So thanks for coming back. If you're new, it's great to have you. I guess I didn't introduce myself at the beginning, so hi, my name is Kelsey. And I am the co-owner of PetiteKnit, which is a yarn dyeing company with my husband, and I knit, I play violin, I play piano, I play viola, I sing with choirs and things. Well, I sing at my choir because I have a couple of choirs. Yeah, it was a bit of a tangent. Maybe I'll redo an intro for the beginning. So thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. You can find me on Instagram at KZipKnits, same Facebook, kzipknits.com for our website. It's a little sparse right now, as I mentioned at the beginning, but yeah, we hope you had fun hanging out today and look forward to next time. Feel free to leave comments if you have things you want to see or would like to hear me talk about. If you have questions, any of that good stuff, or if you're not comfortable leaving a comment, feel free to reach out through direct message or email is also welcome. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye!